Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm your host, Anthros Campbell. The Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF, has increased its capacity to improve the safety of citizens as well as restore and maintain public order with the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, PSTEB. What kind of impact is this entity having? What are the plans going forward? To provide us with that information is Head of the Public Safety and the Traffic Enforcement Branch, PSTEB, ACP Kevin Blake. Dr. Blake, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
So good to have you. What would you say are the benefits of having this special entity?
Okay, well, good. PSTEB, the purpose of PSTEB and its role, its mandate, is, as the name suggests, public safety and traffic enforcement. So important is the issue of public safety and traffic enforcement that the organization found it necessary to establish a formation headed by an assistant commissioner of police to treat with that. So we have concentrated effort and dedication looking at this very important aspect and things. So it allows us to be more deliberate, and this is what we do every day to ensure that our public spaces are kept safe and also our roadways are properly used and are safe. And so I think that is a significant benefit for any state. Right? One of the most visible signs of the state's ability to govern is the roadway and your public spaces. And so that is how awesome the responsibility is. And that's how we see our responsibility as an entity.
Okay, talk to us about the role of the officers in this branch.
Right. Again, as the name suggests, public safety, traffic enforcement. And so our role is to ensure that our public spaces are kept free from harm, and also that our road compliance is maintained on our roadways, and that we have safe roadways and stuff like that. In achieving that, we have to work very closely with other agencies, and we have a significant role where that is concerned. However, it is not public safety and traffic enforcement itself, and compliance on our roadway is not solely a policing function. Even though our major we have a chunk of the responsibility where that is concerned.
What are some of the agencies that you would work with toward
right. And so when we look at the policing is a means to an end when it comes to particular compliance on the roadway. So you're trying to change our behavior, and so that is the end. And so when we issue citation tickets, there are other things that needs to be done. Persons now have to either pay the fine or they go and face the court, and so that's another agency. And so we expect that the courts now hold up their end in ensuring that the process runs smoothly all the way through. Now we talk about engineering of our infrastructure. And so we look at places like NWA, that I'm happy to say that we work very closely together, and we're getting very good cooperation and excellent response from NWA and stuff. But engineering, safety and compliance in our infrastructure is very critical to maintaining road safety and stuff. And there are several other agencies that we've worked with. We are talking about the Island Traffic Authority, Transport Authority, that issues road license to public transportation. We have to work very closely with them to ensure that persons who are vested such awesome responsibility are persons of the type of character and that level of responsibility, so that they can take our children to and from school. And so, it's a whole team approach in treating with this.
ACP, we've been witnessing an upsurge or increase in unruly behavior on the streets.
Right.
If you listen to the radio, if you read the newspapers, that's what you've been hearing. How do you plan to deal with that?
All right. Again, it's a multi-agency approach that we have to take. And the first thing we start doing is to seek collaboration between all the agencies that are responsible. I think we have left the situation for far too long and haven't given it the type of attention that it requires. And so persons who want to do wrong basically are left too much freedom to get that done. And so persons are able to rack up 1,000 tickets, yet insure their vehicle. renew their road license, renew their driver's license, and stuff like that. And so the deterrent effect is not there. And you know, I am really hopeful for the new Road Traffic Act, and I really hope that some of the venom in the sting that is required to ensure compliance and ensure deterrence from certain behavior exists within it. Enforcement, of course, we have to ramp up our enforcement, but I just want to put it on record that we have been enforcing. When you have an organization that issue in almost approximately 500,000 tickets per year, that is enforcement. When you find a single driver that is issued 1,000 tickets, it is 1,000 times that the police have enforced that.
But we how does that help? They're still there behaving
exactly unruly. That's the point I'm making.
Yes.
And so I'm saying that from our side, this is the extent and the scope of what we can do. What we expect now is other agencies of the state to cause that person to learn a lesson and stuff, and so the person should not be able to, right?
But sir, on some roads, if we talk about motor vehicles now, on some roads, you know that people are always going to be behaving badly. Why isn't the police on those roads? For example, some of the roads I use every day, you see people making 3-4 lanes. Where's the police? I know the police can't be everywhere, but I mean, at least you would get some feedback that these roads really people are unruly. Why aren't you present?
I'm happy you asked that question, because you know, in response to your question, I won't be seen as a complainer because I'm responding to your question. But the calls I get every day, I wish I could satisfy all those requirements. When you're briefing your men, one of the first thing I do when I brief my men and women before they go out in the mornings at 4 a.m. is to tell them thanks for being there, because it's an awesome responsibility, and the demand is there, and I'm not complaining about the demand, because demand is made of you when there's value for your service. So when the public demand things of us, we like that, we appreciate that. However, we can't satisfy everywhere that, and no society, I think, can. What happens and why other societies survive is that there is a respect for the rule of law and that social contract. And so for the few who choose to deviate, then police can deal with them. Here, when you have so many things happening all over the place, we need more than just police chasing behind people. We need more than that.
What do you need? What else?
We have proven to everyone, the citizens of this country, that we are up to the task, we are willing, and we will prosecute persons. We will issue them tickets and citations. And once that is the scope of what we do, we just expect that once that is done, persons are not to be allowed to rack up 1,000. It's a ridicule of our system. And so what we ask is that just for us to be mindful that we are satisfying a means to an end. Change in behavior is the ends, and that will be achieved when there are serious consequences to that behavior.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's take the break here and continue with more on traffic management by the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, PSTEP. Stay with us.
Motorists, when driving on the road, here are some simple reminders. Look out for and extend courtesy to all road users. Give plenty of room to pedestrians, especially in wet weather. Drive slowly. No bother wet them up. Slow down when approaching a pedestrian crossing or school, and always be prepared to stop. Remember, a school zone is a 30-kilometer zone. Cut your speed. Drivers of large and slow-moving vehicles should always keep in the far left hand of a dual carriageway. Keep it simple. Drive left and pass right. These are just simple reminders of your road duties. Drive safely.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. We continue our discussion with Head of the Public Safety and the Traffic Enforcement Branch, PSTEP, ACP Kevin Blake. Now, we were talking about unruly behavior and so on. Tell us about some of the violations that persons, not just motorists, but people who are moving around in public spaces, what are some of the violations that it can be ticketed for?
Okay, all right. For in public spaces and for public safety, there are a number of violations under the Town and Country Act, a whole list of them that I haven't committed to memory.
Yes.
However, things like illegal vending, obstruction of traffic, blocking pathway for persons to pedestrian to walk, littering, and stuff like that. So these are some of the things that we can ticket.
Right. But we don't ticket people for littering at all, basically.
Well, it's actually someone. You give them someone. You see, sometimes when you have so many things happening and such breakdown, you know, it's very easy to not see or not being able to prosecute all that you see, because there's so many other serious things happening around. But
so we really need an education campaign, right?
Exactly, we need the education. We need, first of all, citizens to understand and be aware of their surrounding, and not only of their rights but their responsibility. And we need majority of our citizens to act responsibly in the public spaces, and so that will give us the opportunity to treat with those few who wouldn't.
P-STEP was rolled out first in Kingston, St. Catherine, and some other resort towns, with an intention to move towards the entire island at some time. Where are we with that?
All right, we're going well. I mean, one of the things that we have done is the P-STEP's establishment coincided with probably one of the most difficult time in our era in traffic management, and it was last year September at the commencement of the several major roadwork in Kingston, and that's the time when it was launched. And so our primary effort at the time, because we have to be responsive as an organization, we have to treat with what is the problem at hand at that time, and we have to reshape ourselves in order to address that challenge. And so we were predominantly dealing mainly with traffic enforcement and stuff like that. However, the public safety component of P-STEP, we have been rolling on it out, but it requires some more work. And so now that things are somewhat leveling off, the roads are being completed and stuff like that, we're now looking at further implementing that aspect of our public safety. In terms of our traffic management, however, and also public safety, the organization, the former traffic headquarters, highway and patrol headquarters, that there were offices within each divisional HQ. So we have 19 geographic divisions. So every division we have a traffic component. P-STEP now will subsume those offices, and that model will be replicated in all divisions and stuff. So that's what.
Okay,
so that's
great.
Really now.
Earlier we were talking about the number of tickets that some people manage to get, and they're still on the roads behaving unruly. I hear though that something is coming to help with that situation.
Certainly.
Tell me about it.
All right. So our traffic ticketing system, a more effective, a better working traffic ticketing system would have helped us, and it would have prevented persons to be able to rack up so many tickets. One of the challenge with that is that unpaid tickets, that once a ticket is issued to you, it's a citation. Once you don't pay at the tax office, if you have the opportunity to, then it automatically becomes a summon for you to go to court. And if you don't go to court, usually a warrant is issued. Now that process is a bit time consuming in issuing the warrants, because it has to be manually written up and stuff like that by the judge and checked. And so what is being rolled out now under the Ministry of National Security is an automated warrant management system to better able to manage these the issuing of these warrants. And so we'll find a lot more of these warrants being issued, and so we can now start having people account for this.
So how does it work? I get a ticket and you plug that in into a web-based system, and then
it is. There always exists a system, an electronic system to capture the ticket information. That an aspect of it, that information goes to the Inland Revenue Department so that they know whether or not you've paid. Once the date has passed and you haven't paid, then that ticket that you have in your hand becomes a summons. So you have to go to court on the court date that is there.
Okay.
Now, all of that electronic information will be available at the court. And so now, rather than just looking at paper and physically writing up a warrant, the judge can cause a warrant to be issued. So the process will be much, much faster. And so whilst the judge is required to see the warrant, to actually do all of that, the information on the warrant, like the name of the person and stuff, that is already in a system.
It's going to still go back to the judge?
Yeah, well, the judge has to issue a warrant. I don't think that can be...
Oh, is that going to make it easier?
It makes it easier because rather than having to write the warrant itself, put in everybody's name and their address and all of that, and then sign, now the judge can have something where that is already filled out, because that electronic data is already sitting there. And so to actually physically write that over. And so that is where the system we're going with that.
Okay, and we understand that should be in place.
Well, the commitment we got, as the minister had announced is one of his presentation, is that by the end of October, I think.
Yes,
I think that's what he said.
Okay, we're looking forward to that,
We're
right?
looking very much forward to that.
Yes. Let's talk about reasons why your motor vehicle could be seized.
Okay, all right. So there are 7 reasons why you can motor vehicle can be seized. 7 offenses under which one is having no road license, operating contrary to road license, operating an unlicensed motor vehicle, obscure license disc, as is on your windshield, obscure registration plates, registration plate not affixed or kept affixed. And so if you see a registration plate falling off and you do nothing about it and keep driving like that, or registration, you see sometimes people put registration plate on the back dashboard and stuff.
That's a no-no.
Yeah, those are it. And also an unregistered motor vehicle. So those are the 7 reasons under which you can seize.
Those are the 7 reasons.
Yes,
right.
7 offenses.
Right. What offenses? Right. Now, what should someone do if they think that their vehicle was seized without just cause?
Allow it to be seized and then seek redress.
Okay.
Do not try and stop the police.
Okay.
Right? It is, and that goes out not just for seizing a vehicle, but for arrest. I see there's a tendency for Jamaicans, a lot of our citizens, I don't want to generalize and offend people, it's just a number of our citizens sometimes intervene when a police is conducting an arrest because they believe it is a wrongful arrest. Well, it is not for the resident to decide, and it's a very dangerous practice. It's dangerous for the police officer. It's also dangerous for the citizen. So, and so we will implore our citizens. There's a way in which, if you're being arrested as an assistant commissioner of police, if a constable chooses to arrest me, he will not get a resistance from me. But he has to very well make sure that it is a lawful arrest. Because I know there are ways and procedure in which to deal with it. So we implore our citizens, do not interfere with the police when conducting arrests. There's an agency in the state that's responsible for that, not citizens. You don't try a case right there on the street.
Okay. ACP, you have a very difficult job.
Yes.
What would you say to motorists now watching this program? What are some of the things that we can do as citizens, motorists, pedestrians, using public spaces? What can we do to help you?
All right. So for the road users that always comply, continue to exercise a level of intolerance, not aggressive intolerance, but intolerance to the extent where you will photograph what you see, video or tape what you see, send it to the police, and be prepared to go and give evidence to that. So we'll say that. And for the motorists that believe that driving on the road, you must always commit offense, we ask that you just be responsible. Remember the danger of that machine that you operate, and the danger not only to yourself, but to other motorists and pedestrians. And so we ask that, and when only adults are issued license in Jamaica. And so, we are to be able to take command and control of ourselves first and foremost. And so we ask and implore. I was talking to a bus operator this morning and remind them that it's a noble profession. But we have made our operators sometimes have made the profession, so put it in so much disrepute and discredit the profession itself. I want to help them bring it back to its noble state. And in doing so, some people obviously may be hurt, because some people may lose their license, some people. But we're going to bring it back to a state where people will see it and see a bus and a taxi operator in Jamaica and say, there goes a professional.
Yes. Very good and sober note to end on, ACP. Okay. Thank you so very much for sharing with us today on Get the Facts.
Thank you very much for having me.
This has been Get the Facts with our guest, ACP Kevin Blake, Head of the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, PSTEB. Until next time, I'm Anthros Campbell. Take care.